Imagine this. It's 8:30 a.m. on a Tuesday. You're standing in line at your favorite coffee shop waiting for your iced latte. You're barely awake, blindly scrolling on your phone, mentally drafting emails you have to send later. Then it happens. You lock eyes with a coworker, an acquaintance from your building, or maybe just someone you vaguely recognize. There's nowhere to hide. They smile, raise their eyebrows, and say it. "Hey, how's it going? Crazy weather we're having today, huh?" In that split second, massive alarm bells start ringing inside your brain. Your heart rate ticks up. Your prefrontal cortex starts frantically spinning through its database, trying to formulate the perfect response. Should I just say good? No, that's too dismissive. Should I complain about being tired? No, too negative. Do I pivot to a joke about the rain? Will that make me look cheesy? I need to say something witty right now. After running thousands of calculations in a single second, what finally comes out of your mouth is the safest, most flavorless sentence possible. Yeah, it's really coming down. And then, silence. The whirring of the espresso machine suddenly sounds deafening. You start cursing yourself internally. Why am I so bad at this? Why am I such a boring person? They probably think I have zero personality. You immediately pull your phone back out and start aggressively scrolling through a screen with no notifications. If this scenario makes you want to crawl out of your skin because it's so accurate, listen to me very carefully. You are not alone. Millions of people drown in this exact small talk swamp every single day. But let me tell you an uncomfortable, shocking truth. The reason you struggle with small talk isn't because you're introverted. It's not because you lack social skills. It's because you fundamentally misunderstand what conversation is. The moment an interaction begins, we subconsciously treat it not as an opportunity for connection, but as a stage for evaluation. We treat small talk like an unannounced pop quiz or a public audition. I have to prove how interesting I am. I have to show that I'm fluent, charismatic, and smart. The second your brain registers the conversation as a high-stakes test of your worth, adrenaline floods your system and you enter a state of extreme tension. You're no longer talking to the person in front of you. You're internally censoring, grading, and defending yourself in real time. Here is the problem. Human beings are exceptionally good at reading tension. While you're sweating inside your own head, looking for the perfect, clever response, the other person is picking up on your micro-expressions, your stiff shoulders, and the slight raise in your vocal pitch. They sense your rigidity, and rigidity is contagious. They subconsciously think, "Oh, this person is really uncomfortable being around me." Consequently, they put their own walls up and shut the conversation down. In your desperate attempt to sound smart, you accidentally assassinate the interaction. Let's dissect this bizarre ritual of small talk through the lens of neuroscience. Deep inside your brain lies an almond-shaped cluster called the amygdala. It's your primitive alarm system, and its absolute top priority is your physical survival. For the vast majority of human history, a stranger was a potential predator or an enemy. Therefore, our brains are hardwired to view unfamiliar people and awkward silences as literal threats. When you're in an elevator, a restaurant, or waiting for a meeting to start, and you break the agonizing silence by asking, "So, how was your weekend?" or "Traffic was brutal today, right?" You're not actually seeking data about their weekend or the highway conditions. You're sending a safety signal to calm the amygdala. Your brain is saying, "I am not your enemy. I am a peaceful neighbor who will not attack you." And when the other person replies, "Yeah, the traffic was terrible," they are stamping your clearance pass. They are saying, "I am also not a threat to you." Small talk is not an exchange of information. It is a highly sophisticated social scan to disarm psychological defenses. If this scan isn't successfully completed, you can never cross the threshold into deeper conversation or genuine connection.
The reason you keep failing at interactions is that you're trying to sprint into the living room before you've even unlocked the front door. Or worse, you're standing on the porch giving a speech about how great you are. So how do you actually become a master of small talk? The very first thing you must abandon is the obsession with speaking well. The people we love talking to the most are rarely the ones with rapid-fire stand-up comedy skills or an encyclopedia of facts. We gravitate towards people who make us feel safe and easy. You don't need to command the room. Your only job is to open a tiny, safe door that the other person can effortlessly walk through. Most people make the catastrophic mistake of demanding massive mental labor from the other person right out of the gate. Think about the most common questions at networking events or parties. So, what do you do? Or, tell me about yourself. These seem normal, but they're actually conversational hand grenades. The person receiving that question suddenly has to summarize their entire complex existence, career, and identity, wrap it in attractive packaging, and deliver it to you so you don't get bored. It's exhausting. Naturally, they give a defensive short answer. "Oh, I work in accounting," and the conversation dies. True masters of small talk lower the energy entry barrier to zero. They don't ask about your identity. They focus entirely on the shared reality you're both currently inhabiting. Let's say you just walked out of a long, incredibly boring conference keynote. Instead of turning to the person next to you and asking, "What company are you with?" tap into the shared reality. "Wow, these chairs are so stiff, I think I lost feeling in my lower back halfway through. Did you survive?" That's all you need. The other person doesn't have to prove their professional worth. They can just laugh, agree about the terrible chairs or the freezing AC, and naturally join the flow. The topics don't need to be profound. The weather, the coffee, the slow elevator, the music playing in the background. But here is the secret ingredient. You cannot just state a fact. You must layer a tiny piece of your emotion or vulnerability over that fact. "It's raining today." That's the news. There's nowhere for the conversation to go. But "it's raining today. I forgot my umbrella and I had to sprint from my car like I was competing in the Olympics." That is a story. You are showing them that you are not perfect, that you also make mistakes and have chaotic mornings, just like a normal human being. People are not attracted to flawlessly controlled robots. A slight crack in your armor, a little bit of human clumsiness melts the other person's tension instantly. They think, I don't have to pretend to be perfect around this person. That wave of relief is the true magic of small talk. Once the door is open, your most important role is your reaction. The person who controls the conversation isn't the one speaking the most, it's the one who receives the words the best. When someone works up the courage to initiate small talk, shutting them down with a one-word answer is like throwing their goodwill on the floor. If someone asks, "Did you do anything fun this weekend?" and you reply, "Nothing, just slept," what are they supposed to do with that? Conversation is ping pong. When the ball comes over the net, you have to hit it back. But you don't need to smash it, just gently tap it back to their side. "Honestly, I slept the entire weekend. I've been so drained lately. Do you have any secret tricks for getting your energy back?" You shared your state, and you passed the ball back with an easy question. The warmth of your reaction determines everything. Psychologists study a phenomenon called the liking gap. After a conversation ends, we constantly criticize our own performance. "I talked too much," or "that joke was so stupid." But shockingly, the other person barely remembers exactly what you said. The only thing they remember is how you made them feel.
Nodding when they speak, holding eye contact, a quick, "Wow, I totally get that," or "That must have been so frustrating." These tiny, almost invisible micro-reactions trigger dopamine spikes in the other person's brain. You are giving them the ultimate psychological reward, the feeling of being heard and feeling safe. You don't need to be a world-class orator. Just being a world-class listener makes you the most magnetic person in the room.
Now, let's talk about the most terrifying moment of all, the dead silence. The conversation is flowing, and then suddenly it drops. 3 seconds of quiet. Most people panic, assume the interaction has failed, and start throwing out desperate random questions or forced jokes, which makes the vibe completely radioactive. Remember this, silence is not a failure. It is simply the conversation taking a breath. The only time a pause becomes a problem is when your face screams in terror and awkwardness. When silence hits, just smile comfortably, take a sip of your coffee, look around the room. Or better yet, make the silence itself the topic. With a relaxed smile, say, "Well, my brain just ran completely out of conversation topics." That single sentence is incredibly powerful. You are signaling, yes, there is a silence, but I feel so comfortable with you that I can joke about the awkwardness. Nothing is more attractive and confident than someone who can openly acknowledge their own vulnerabilities without flinching. This entire framework applies everywhere, dating, the corporate office, everywhere. On a first date, do you think you need to dazzle them with impressive monologues? No. The strongest romantic spark comes from the feeling of, wow, I feel strangely relaxed around this person. Small talk at the office isn't a waste of productivity. That light 3-minute chat by the water cooler dictates the success of your projects. If you can joke about the weekend with a colleague, it becomes 10 times easier to give them difficult feedback or ask for a huge favor later. Small talk is the lubrication of collaboration. It is the cheapest insurance policy against conflict. So here is your final assignment. You need to flip the camera. Right now, your internal CCTV is pointed strictly at yourself. Is my voice shaking? Was that boring? Do I look weird? Turn the camera off yourself and point it outward. Observe the person in front of you. Do they look tired today? Is there a story behind the pin on their jacket? When do their eyes light up during the conversation? You are not an actor on a stage trying to win an Oscar. You are an empathetic interviewer making the other person the star. The moment you replace self-monitoring with genuine curiosity about the other person, all the pressure evaporates. Stop preparing perfect scripts. Stop trying to hone your stand-up comedy skills. Tomorrow morning, when that inevitable awkward silence hits in the elevator, repeat this to yourself. This is not an evaluation of my worth. This is just a moment to offer someone a safe door. It's freezing today. Getting out from under the blankets was the hardest thing I've done all year. That ordinary, slightly clumsy sentence will pull a smile from them. Their smile will relax you, and in that tiny exchange, you will experience the quiet miracle of human connection. If this changed the way you look at all those awkward little moments in your life, like and subscribe for more. Remember that the seemingly meaningless chatter we engage in is actually the vital connective tissue holding our society together. Connection is rarely built in grand cinematic speeches. It's built in the tiny, imperfect, slightly awkward moments we usually ignore. Once you realize the quiet power of those moments, you will never fear a silence or a stranger ever again. That's what it means to be a wired human.